Hello racing fans, and welcome to our Gallop TV preview show for Thursday. It's the 20th of July. Can you believe it? We are about end to the season and building up now to Gold Cup Day. On Thursday, we have 9 races carded. There are few races where we have horses at very restrictive odds, some small fields. And I personally think, having a look at it, and I'll just get Alistair's opinion, I think we could get players that could be running in the Hollywoodbets Punters Challenge competition. If there ever was a card with the limited number of runners per race and the way these horses are being placed, I think this could be a Hollywoodbets Punters Challenge entry that could be a winner. But good day to you, Alistair. How are you doing for this Thursday? Of course, we're previewing it the day before, but what's happening in your end of the world?
Good day, Dees. Well, the weather's brightened and warmed up over the last few days, but the forecast from Thursday, Friday, Saturday is grim. So, at the moment in good spirits. I agree with you. When I looked at this card, although there are 1 or 2 races where you probably have to go back on and have a look at previous races. For example, race 8, there's a lot of form to moonshining through. Even though it was a small field, it was a very messy race. But I think overall, you're right. With the amounts of players that are now playing the Hollywood Punters Challenge, nearly 12,000 per meeting. Obviously, there were over 20,000 Hollywoodbets Durbanville Day, but that momentum's built. 12,000 any bread and butter race day, whether it's a Monday on the Poly Track, a Friday at Fairview, or Thursday in the dead of winter, or a wet track in Cape Town. The percentages probably point into punters' favours, and we're getting more and more messages going into the last 2 legs that there's some that are on track for a full house. We haven't had a winner now in over a week, but I'll tell you what was absolutely beautiful was on Monday with Magically. The man, I think Alan Barkhazen, who won the challenge, 1.5 million rand, never had the opportunity to buy a horse through the Punters Challenge, got involved with Gary Rich, bought Magically. He's got very unique colours, and he's a winner. So that's just the type of dreams that can be true. That is one of the feel-good stories of the year so far.
Yeah, it is. Race number 1 doesn't form part of the exotic, Alistair. It's a work riders maiden plate for fillies and mares. 2,000 meters the trip. At the time of recording, betting number 1 17 to 10, 2 4 to 1, 3 17 to 10, 4 at 5 to 1. It's 10 to 1 and better the balance. This work riders race over 2,000 meters. What's your thoughts?
Well, I know something in race 1, so I think that's going to sort of narrow me down to 2 horses here. When I say I know something, it's not necessarily, I know the winner or I know something behind the scenes, but I think we can narrow it down with what I know. So, number 1 on Petit Pat and 4 Dusky Rose, probably the 2 horses to have a good look at. They ran behind Silver Hunt last time. There was only a length and a half in it. I'll go to number 1 on Petit Pat as my top selection in the first race in the card. St. Gray's Yard is just bubbling under. I know I've said that a few times of late, and they haven't quite broken through. But I think the key here is Sam Lucia. He's worth his weight in gold in these work riders races. He doesn't ride anything at Ranky Spontaneous. He's turf and team based, so I'll be unconvinced whether he's done any work on Petit Pat leading up to this race. But the point is she's relatively fit. 13 starts. She's had how many runs since the grass turned brown? This will be a 5th start since the grass turned brown. So she'll come in as fit condition as anything else on the day even. And I think the Silver Hunt form is going to work out quite nicely. I think Silver Hunt's got a lot of scope to improve. So I don't think running 2.5 lengths behind or 2.25 lengths behind is all that disgraceful. She is limited, but this field is filled with limited horses. So I'm going to go with number 1 on Petit Pat to retain that type of margin over number 4 Dusky Rose, who ran her career best last time, to Silver Hunt. That might be a little bit of a worry for the overall strength of the form. Out of gate 1, she probably has a bit of an advantage number 4 Dusky Rose. I know Philip Labuskakny's always expected her to get better and build as her career goes on. So I'm going to use that type of not necessarily confidence, but that thought that number 4 Dusky Rose can at least confirm her last start was no flash in the pan. So 1 from 4 for me in race number 1. Probably swingers. I don't know if I'd go mad on exactas in a race this week. Maybe swingers the way to go to build up for the exotics.
Keep an eye on the declarations, race number 1, but at this stage, Alistair going 1 and 4. On to the second race, which will kick off the exotics at 12:15. You need to get your bipod on. It's over 1,000 meters. It is a maiden plate, and the shortest price favorite on the day comes up in this race. A lot of unknowns in the race, but number 7, Super Awesome, is priced up at 4 to 10. And then one of the first-timers, number 9, Flying Diamond, from the Tony Peters stable, is at 9 to 2. Of course, the filly, a maiden, taking on the colts. She gets a weight for sex allowance, which brings her down to 54.5 kgs. And she will be one that you'll just have to possibly wait for stable comments come race time, or maybe even see if there's any more confidence in the betting market for her, because at this stage of the game, we get this betting from Hollywoodbets. There's no action with the anti-post betting market on the card. Number 7, Super Awesome. Well, obviously experience, etc. And, this is why they priced this individual up at those restrictive odds. And, with so many unknowns in the race, I think that the fixed odds betting market have got the spot on, even though it's 4 to 10.
4 to 10's a bit skinny, isn't it, Dees? For a horse that's had its chances, started life, and has steadily been improving. The bottom line is simple, Dees. If the first-timers are not of a certain level, then 7 Super Awesome's got a golden highway to win. If you have a look at the form lines of Super Awesome, they're a bit shallow. Funny enough, the strongest form line that he brings was his first run in Joburg, which was his worst run in Joburg, finishing 8th to Prince of Green, White Pearl, My Soulmate, Mocha Frappe, who I think is going to be a winner next time he runs. We're all in there. And of course, Prince of Green represented a very strong nursery form line, the former Lucky Lad, not being beaten far by him. And since then, Super Awesome has been banging at the door at a level that I think is winnable. Out of the last run to King Rahul, the winner was Ziyasha. Ziyasha came out and won at Hollywoodbets Greyville subsequently. King Rahul followed up with a pretty average 6th, but that was against Open Company. Tyson the Brave is overdue, finished just behind Super Awesome. So, like I said, if the first-timers aren't well fancied or don't have a certain level of ability, number 7 Super Awesome should win. With regard to number 9 Flying Diamond, I know the owner Alvaro Fernandez quite well. Even if Tony Peter says don't have a bet, not ready yet, Alvaro will have a bet. So, there might be a little bit of extra money. If it shortens dramatically, then you'll probably find that there is quite a bit of confidence to this daughter of Flying the Flag. But we'll have to wait and see. The reason why I've gone with a place accumulator and not a bipod, because I was close to going with the bipod, was because I just don't like the feel to this first leg of the bipod.
Yep, and I see that you mentioned Alvaro Fernandez. I see you also bred this filly, the daughter of Flying the Flag, number 9 Flying Diamond. So, number 7 Super Awesome, the obvious horse, but you just have to keep an eye come race time for these first-timers. At this stage of the game, 9 to 2, the only other horse in the betting is number 9 Flying Diamond. Race number 3 kicks off the place accumulator, 12:45. It's over 1,450 meters. And here we got number 1, Viva de Janeiro, at 18 to 10. Then we move along to horse number 5, Circle of Grace, at 4 to 1. Number 6, Golden Pavilion, at 2 to 1. And Katsu, Johan Janssen van Vieren's first-timer, is in the betting at 5 to 1. How many horses do we start off with in this place accumulator? And if you had to pick one for the Hollywoodbets Punters Challenge competition, which horse would it be?
I'm glad you asked that question exactly like that, Dees. I've gone with 2 horses in the place accumulator, but was very nearly one. And that one is number 6, Golden Pavilion, the son of Dan on Platina. Calvin Abib takes her out for a bang-in form yard. Alec Laird can do no wrong at the moment, and I thought Golden Pavilion was moving up a winner last time out, and then when getting bumped 150 meters out, just took the wind out of his sails. He was running on strongly, and I think that he's just coming along the right way, run to some nice horses. Last time, I believe, not saying he should have won, but I believe he was right in there, but you know what I'm getting at. I think that he just about wins had he not run into a little bit of traffic at a crucial stage. He is a half-brother to Taking the Peace, number 6, Golden Pavilion, so genetically there should be even more to come as he rises 3 and eventually goes on with his 3-year-old career. I don't think it's a half-bad maiden, to be honest, but I think number 6, Golden Pavilion, coming along the right way, you've got to be confident in the yard's form at the moment, so he is the one that they all need to beat. The backup comes from number 1, Viva de Janeiro. The only reason why, and he probably defaulted to finish in front of Golden Pavilion, but the point is he finished in front of Golden Pavilion. So logically, even though valid excuses, logically I just feel a little bit uneasy going with number 6, Golden Pavilion as a banker, especially with that form being right in front of you. So 1, Viva de Janeiro is my backup. Just a little word of warning about this race. I mean, I believe that I'll come through the first leg of the place accumulator. I do think the winner comes from 1 or 6, but I think number 2, Pike Place, is going to run a nice race, not necessarily win, but I think he'll be in the money. I don't know anything about number 7, Kudzu. I do get information from the yard, but sadly nothing forthcoming yet. And I think number 8, Scarlet Pimpernel, will run better than his last race. So what I'm getting at is I think that this might be a useful piece of form to follow in the future. Even number 5, Circle of Grace, if this was a level weaker maiden, you'd make a case for number 5, Circle of Grace. So I think there'll be winners out of here, but I think number 6, Golden Pavilion, is the one that they need to beat.
I haven't been following the strike rate of these races, and I know it's been happening now for a few race meetings where trainers are being honored, and this one is For Racing Thanks and Appreciates Diane Stenger, and Alistair's picked out a nice outsider that she has in the race, which is number 2, Pike Place. So maybe that could be the way to go to try and boost your trifectas and quartets. But 1 and 6, and then which horse is going to be for the Punters Challenge competition, Ali?
Definitely number 6, Golden Pavilion, Dees.
6 is going to be the Hollywoodbets Punters Challenge competition entry. Race number 4. This is a maiden plate for fillies and mares over 1,450 meters. How are they betting here? In the big one at 13.15. Number 1, Green Bubbles at 9-2. 2, Zoom Lady at 4-1. Number 3, Count Your Chances, is at 6-1. 4, The Work of Life, is at 6-1. And then 9 at 8-1, 10 at 5-1, and 11 at 6-1. Wow, the way they're betting here, 4-1 the field, it looks like a very difficult start to the pick 6. And when you try and dissect the form, etc., you know, it's difficult to try and narrow this down. You got these young horses at the bottom, the 2-year-olds, and of course, you know, just around the corner since they turned 3. But nevertheless, they still get their weight for age allowance once we get to these handicap races. But in the maiden plates, what you make of the younger horses versus the older horses here?
There's something in this race that I looked at and I can't wrap my head around, and that's Gavin Lorena riding number 11, Villa Samaya, after he rode number 10 Past the Baton last time, and Past the Baton finished in front of Villa Samaya. I can't work that out. I have absolutely no idea how that's going to go. And then you also look at the form of Let's Go Now, where the Work of Life finished in front of Villa Samaya. Now, that was down the Vaal Straight. Out of that form was Canford Rose, who was an impressive winner over the weekend. But I'll take the stab and say that the Work of Life handled the Vaal Straight a lot better than any other track that she's raced on. I think that she could win a race down the Vaal Straight, and she might not quite be the same horse around the bend. This is the trickiest race on the card because there's some long overdue, there's some battlers in here, there's horses that have just suddenly come to form, like for example the Work of Life. But in the place accumulator, I'm going to narrow it down. I'm going to say Stephen Moffat, between his 2 horses at the bottom, one of them is going to run a place. I have no idea the rhyme or reason or the thinking for Gavin Lorena jumping ship from Past the Baton onto number 11, Villa Samaya. When Moffat and Lorena team up, there's normally business to be done. They don't team up a lot. But I'm going to take that at face value that maybe they're up to something. Not necessarily anything sinister, but maybe number 11, Villa Samaya, just pulled up after that last run better, and Moffat's pointed Gavin into the direction number 11, Villa Samaya, who, by the way, I actually liked last time to run into the first 4, and at a good price, she ran 4th behind Silver Sanctuary. So I have no reason to believe that she'll turn the form around just on the evidence in front of me, but whether Gavin does, whether Moffat does, I'm not sure, but I'm just going to go with the 2 Mockford horses in the place accumulator and pray that one of them can run into the first 3.
I think you're 100% right with what you mentioned towards the end of trying to work out the puzzle. You know, having worked behind the scenes, and you've worked behind the scenes, jockeys and trainers, etc. If you pick up the phone and you want to ride a horse again, and if the trainer says, especially if you got that relationship going, which you alluded to, Gavin, and the strike rate with Stephen Moffat, I think 100%, this was the trainer pointing the jockey on which horse to go for. That is it. Whether it's going to be something that's going to work out on the day, well, the form book doesn't point us in that direction, but I would go with Gavin there ahead of Kelvin on number 11. So the horses in the place accumulator, you're suggesting 10 and 11. Just for our pick 6 players, just numbers added to 10 and 11. Can you narrow it down to less than half the field?
Yeah, I can actually. These 2, 3, and 4 would be the other horses. So Zoom Lady, Count Your Chances, and The Work of Life. I'd actually be pretty comfortable with those 5 through the first leg of the pick 6.
Yeah, 2, 3, 4, 10, and 11. I think this pick 6 is where the go, guys, because as we said at the top of the show, the Hollywoodbets Punters Challenge is where the go, and the pick 6, I feel the same, just with the size of fields. Race number 5, 2,000 meters. It's a maiden plate. Number 1 is at 9-2, 2 at 8-1. We got number 3, Manx Knight, at 18-10, and 8 at 11-10. Looking at the betting boards, the way these 2 horses are priced up, 11-10, 8, and 3 at 18-10, they seem to be the right 2 horses just on what jumps off the page, Alistair.
I think Leo Alado is going to be very hard to beat here, Dees. He's been crying for distance. He's been crying for races. He goes 2,000 meters. It's obviously a hard ask for a horse, for a 2-year-old to go 2,000 meters. But he's got the profile for it. And as you can see, he stepped up with each and every start from 1450, where he was all legs, all at sea, had no idea what was going on. And then he's just stepped up time and time again. And even the penultimate start to the front line. I think the front line is a very, very nice horse trained by Robbie Sage. Jeffrey Saston retains the ride for Roy Magna. I can't see him missing the first 3. I think he'll be a hard horse to beat, especially when you start going through Time to Meditate, a 14-run maiden, Desert Fox, a 14-run maiden, and Mun's Knight, an 11-run maiden. They've had their chances. They've run in some pretty weak fields. They've not been able to get the job done. Desert Fox, for example, has got how much to find with Leo Alado? Got nearly 7 lengths to find with Leo Alado, while Leo Alado has certainly got improvement to come. So I can't see this horse missing the place accumulator. I think he's a banker, and I think that he's the best bet on the card. What price did you say? You said 17-10, number 8, Leo Alado. So I'm prepared to row in with him. Just Candace Dawson's running number 7, Bomber Grigio. Expect her to improve a little bit more after the last run. She too's crying out for distance. She improved from run 1 to run 2. Probably not ready to win just yet, but expect more from her. And if she's gone 9 lengths behind last time, expect her to halve that deficit to be around 4.5, 4, maybe even 3 lengths behind this time around.
11-10, number 8, Alistair, and number 3 at 18-10. That's the clear favorite. And I just worked it out quickly, and I'm just taking the weight for rage allowance this time of the year over 2,000 meters, which is 10.5 kgs. And number 3, Manx Knight, which is rated as 62. If you are of the opinion that Leo Alado can run to around 73 over this distance, 2,000 meters, that's what he could achieve, then you go for him. You go for him in a big way. That's the mark, a 73. That's what he needs to run to. Number 8, Leo Alado. So, Alistair's big on that, and obviously that's going to be his Hollywoodbet Punters Challenge anchor in race number 5. Race number 6, it's over 1,600 meters. It's a fillies and mares 87. It is a B division class where number 1, Cape Lights, is at 22-10. Then we go on to number 5, Say Yes, which is at 5-2. 6, Allenby at 18-10. And 7, Lady Calavera is at 8-1. Well, do we have a clear-cut Hollywoodbets Punters Challenge selection here, or we're going to have to roll the dice? I'm just rolling the dice between 2 runners here, Alistair. The first one being number 6, and then the other being number 1, Cape Lights. Your selections?
It's number 6, LMB, but with not much confidence here, Dees. She was all the rage last time. She made no mistake. She beat Kayla's Champ. In time to perfection by Keegan DeMello and winning by a quarter of a length. I believe that LMB is still on the right side of the handicapper, even though Ululate has waited to finish a lot closer this time around. There was 4 3/4 lengths between them, and there's 3 kilos in favour of Ululate. I'm not sure that's enough to turn the form around, but Ululate just keeps popping up on my radar, especially with the rating coming down all the while. She is a listed feature race winner, is Ululate, from a once 96 down to an 85. So I think Ululate will get closer to LMB, but I think LMB might just hold the upper hand just for the time being anyway. I don't like number 1 Cape Lights all that much. I respect her chances. She'll go into the pick 6. This is a field race in the pick 6, by the way. Number 1 Cape Lights I can make a case for. But my other backup in the place accumulated, number 2 at Miami. Gavin Arena wanted the ride back. Candice Dawson trains. Her first run back, she needed badly. Thought she'd run a little bit better second time out, to be fair, beaten 4.5 lengths by Queen of Shadows, but again, she just seemed to need that run a little bit. She'll run a better race this time. Again, I can see her sort of halving the deficit from 4.5 to say 2 lengths behind. So I don't think she'll be all that far away, number 2 at Miami. She's not far away from winning, full stop. So just keep her in your good book. So 2, 3, and 6 for me in the place accumulator. But before you ask, field in the pick 6.
Yeah, the one thing that I did notice about Cape Lights is that the way the handicapper got a hold of her last time out, from an 81 to an 89. But we give credit where credit is due, and the other day I did mention it on air, on that horse, Iron Bark. Wow, I thought that the hike was a bit too much over that sprint trip. But they got it right, and they got it right because Iron Bark won really well. Could they have it spot on with number 1 Cape Lights? Well, the race will tell us a bit more, because she's been pushed up, 4 kgs for that last win. That's a Robbie Sage runner. But Alistair, 2, 3, and 6, and I can see why he hasn't included number 1 Cape Lights. She'll have to defy that rating hike. Race number 7, 1,450 meters, merit rated 82 handicap, and this is the way they're betting. Alistair, number 1 at 5 to 1, 2 at 7 to 1, 3 is 8 to 1, 4 Captain of Grit at 4 to 1. Then we got number 5, Surya Varman. Could this be another Hollywoodbets Punters Challenge anchor? That's at 12 to 10. 7 Lord Vari is going to be my pick in the race at 6 to 1. And then it is 10 to 1 and better the balance. Race 7, this horse Surya Varman, when his mind's on racing and he gets to his favorite position, which is obviously in front, he can really gallop this horse, Alistair.
That was one of the most incredible wins I've seen this season from him last time. That was on Hollywoodbets Durbanville July week. I was at the sales auctioneering. I stepped back just to watch the race, but I didn't expect anything like that. I was just interested in watching the race, obviously, because I tipped on the show and I wanted to see how the horses went, and I could not believe what I was watching from Surya Varman. He went flat out from gate 1, and he found more. Whether he can do that on the Vaal Classic track, I don't know, because I think he's one-dimensional in the way that he runs. I think holding him up will probably compromise his stride, and whether he can sustain that stride on 1,000-meter straight remains to be seen. But on that win, he's going to be very hard to beat, number 5, Surya Varman. Full Captain of Grit, my backup. He loves his racing. 12 days apart, don't worry about that. A little bit flat-footed when Scallywag in the second horse, which was Robbie Sage's Tamara's Tree, got the better of number 4, Captain of Grit, but he'll run an honest race. He's an honest horse. His penultimate win, although it came in the novice handicap coming back from a break, that was an excellent victory. Even though he won it by less than a length, he could have won that by a lot more. He was hands and heels. The form line's weak, it has to be said, but like I said, he loves his racing, so he'll run his race. And as you mentioned, for a pick 6 purposes, number 7, Lord Vary, is the only other horse for me in the pick 6. So 3 horses in the pick 6, 2 in the PA, and I'm pretty confident that there's a good chance we'll run first, second, and third with those 3.
4 and 5, Alistair leaning towards you in his selections. And again, we'll watch how the handicappers assess things like he did in the previous race with Cape Light. Surya Varman up from an 78 to an 84. So I must agree, Alistair, last time out, the way he went, and at the top of the straight, when they turned in, I thought definitely going to come back to the field, and he went again. Could he do the same? Race number 8, 1,200 meters, middle stakes. This is how they're betting. Number 2 at 4-1. Number 3 at 5-1. Number 5 at 4-1. 7 at 7-1. 8 at 7-1. And then Forthcoming, who's going to be my outright pick, is at 11-2. And 11 Captain Hindsight at 7-1. Well, in my Hollywoodbets Punters Challenge competition, I'm including number 10.
So we're doubling up these because I'm also going with number 10, Forthcoming. Like I said at the top of the show, the win from Moonshining Through on the 4th of July, even though Moonshining Through holds a very valuable advantage over Thunderstone, Zarbomba and Forthcoming, in a 5-horse field, that was the messiest 5-horse race I've seen in my life. The door got shut in Forthcoming's face. He had to go back around. He actually did well to finish 3 lengths behind Moonshining Through. You can't make it up. After that happens on the inside track, you are gone. So number 10, Forthcoming, I still think is one to be on the right side. I wouldn't read anything into what happened last time out, and I'm going to go with number 10, Forthcoming, to win it. Number 5, Thunderstone, is a horse that I've always followed. His penultimate start's a perfect witness, was a good run, but I think even though he can win a 1400, I think that he is a very good sprinter. I think 1200 meters is his absolute best trip. He was wearing down Moonshining Through last time, but also what you've got to bear in mind is that he stayed out of the traffic. So is he a little bit flattered? Are him and Moonshining Through flattered by that run, or is it going to hold up? I'm not convinced it's going to hold up. So that's why I'm going out of the box with number 10, Forthcoming, but I'm also going to suggest that number 5, Thunderstone, especially at the Vaal, where he's more free striding, able to use the stride and finish at them, where he's not going to be running out of race, turn for home, balance him up and send him, where he takes a couple of strides on the inside track. I think that number 5, Thunderstone, is going to at least maintain his form. And, of that run behind Moonshining Through, I think he'll be the honest one. I think that he'll be the one that sort of keeps that retains that level. I have respect for number 8, Smith & Wesson. Obviously, number 2, Moonshining Through, deserves another chance. I mean, all she could do last time was win, even though luck was on her side. And 11, Captain Hindsight. I've always believed that he's a different horse down the Vaal straight, but he could win over 1,200 meters last time. Let's see how he goes around the turn. The new stable obviously draw life from them, so number 11, Captain Hindsight, another horse to have a look at. But in the PA, keen on 5 and 10. If you're looking for backup, it's 8, Smith & Wesson, or number 2, Moonshining Through.
Well, 2 things we've been chatting about and repeating on the show. One is the Hollywoodbets Punters Challenge competition, and the other is that the pick 6 suits my eye, like I'm sure it suits the majority of the guys out there. In this leg, after listening to you and how I saw things, I'm going to take a chance, Alistair, in the pick 6. The guys are listening. I'm going to just go for 5 and 10 now. I think we can try. You don't need to spend big cash to try and get this pick 6 unless you think you're going to get some bomb results along the way. 5 and 10, are you happy with that?
I just want to include number 8, Smith & Wesson, as well, because he's my next choice, and I think that the trip down to Durban at his penultimate start may have just taken the wind out of the sails for his last start, which was still a good run behind Rainbow Reward. I think he'll run nicely, so I'd feel a little bit uncomfortable leaving him out of the pick 6.
I don't disagree one bit, because he's been kind to me in the past. Numbers 5, 8, and 10 in the pick 6 there. That's narrowed down nicely in race number 8. Then all systems go. And we're running in the Hollywoodbets Punters Challenge competition. We're running in the pick 6, race number 9. It's 1,200 meters. It's a classified stakes. Number 1, 5-1. Number 2 at 9-2. Number 3 at 5-2. 4 at 8-1. 5 at 6-1. And then it is 10-1 and better the balance. Not too long ago, there were 3 Hollywoodbets Punters Challenge players. 2 on a favorite because they included the scratching of Law of Success. 1 on Coming in Hot, and it was not to be. It was Meet the Captain that came to spoil the party, and I felt so bad that day because I actually liked Meet the Captain, Alistair, and I was working in studio. But this race, I mean, how many horses would you be comfortable with if you're running in the pick six?
All field, and thank you for narrowing it down throughout the other races, Dees, because this is a very, very tricky way to end. There's some races that we agree. I think race 6, I think you need field, and I think the last leg of the pick 6 you need field. Other than that, I think we've narrowed it down. I mean, to take a percentage will do no harm, especially with the amount of carryovers there have been. On this particular card in those 2 races, I'd much rather be on the side of caution because anything can happen here. I've got 2 horses in my place accumulator, and I'm pretty uncomfortable with the race because of the horses I've left out. Let me just go through the horses that I've left out that are on the radar. 3 Brosnan, good run to Kawelami out the maidens last time. He looks average. Tony Peters got him to look like he's got a couple of wins in him. 4 After Hours, I think everyone's been on the side of After Hours, as you mentioned last time, from the worst of the draws, moved up dangerously and just didn't go on with it. So I think from a better draw, he's got to be in the picture. 5 Lulu's Boy's done me favors in the past. 10 Written in Stone is not far away from winning. I think that he's going to pick up a win sometime this winter. But I've gone in here with numbers 2 and 8, Fully Loaded and Run for Isla. Let's start with Run for Isla. She's inconsistent. She's hard to read. But I got to the course, it was after the day after the Hollywoodbets Durbanville. I drove up, and the amount of people that told me Run for Isla is the bet of the day, and they took heed of that, 20 to 1 to 13 to 2, and another stride, she beats Maboneng. Now, I know Maboneng didn't win her next start, but I think Maboneng was over the wrong distance at her next start. So let's give her a little bit of benefit of doubt, number 8, Run for Isla. She's not one that you can trust to run the same race time and time again. Kiratila Kachedi gets the most out of her. They get along very well. She got £3 for being a loser last time, so that is a little bit of a blow. But if she's in the same form as she was last time, if she got going a stride earlier, she beats Maboneng. So include number 8, Run for Isla, but disclaimers apply with her. And then number 2, Fully Loaded. I love that last run to Back to Basics. I think I did the show with you. I made Back to Basics the bet of the day, went off at a good price, and 400 meters out Back to Basics when Pilasande Poli pulled the stick, had a bit of a wobble, and the horse that immediately caught my eye was Fully Loaded, as the horse that they needed to beat. Just ran out of steam, got outrun in the closing stages last time, but that was at a slightly higher level. This is now classified stage, so gone from an average rating of 68 to an average rating of 66. I know it's much of a much, but I think that slight drop in class might help number 2, Fully Loaded. So who's my Hollywood Challenge horse? It's number 2, Fully Loaded, but with no degree of confidence. I think 9 to 2 is the right price. The yards come along very well. Fabian Habib and Samango Kamala have been banging home their winners. So I think number 2, Fully Loaded, is probably the horse they all need to beat. But number 8, Run for Isla, is going to go right in there, if in the same horse as last time.
2 good horses Alistair's picked out there, numbers 2, and the value being the filly, number 8, Run for Isla. And I think that could be a nice way to end it off, using those 2 horses in all your bets. At the time of recording, number 7, Cameretta, is a scratching. So if you want to include the field, you have to multiply your perm out by 9. Alistair, you've given a bet for the show?
Yep, Place Accumulators is my bet for the show. It's an early start, so don't miss the boat. Quarter to 12 is when race 1 gets underway. So the Place Accumulator, you need to be on by quarter to 1. I think there's a broadcast to France for the first 5 races, hence the half-hour gap. So the first leg, 1 and 6, Viva de Janeiro and Golden Pavilion. About 10 and 11, the Moffat horses pass the baton, and Villa Samaya, I think you spot on. I think that's Stephen Moffat's guided Gavin Lorena rather than Gavin Lorena guiding Stephen Moffat. By banker 8, Leo Alado in race 5, which is leg 3. By 2, 3 and 6, Admire Me, Ululate and LMB. I'm hoping to gain ground there because I think the tickets will be well spread. By 4 and 5, Captain of Britain, Sir Varman. Then the penultimate leg, I've gone with 2 horses, 5 and 10, Thunderstone and Foster Nova, with respect for number 8, Smith and Wesson. And the final leg, 2 Fully Loaded and 8 Run for Isla. So that will come to a spend of 6, 12, 24, 48, 96 Rand Place Accumulator. And I think we've got a fair crack of perhaps doubling up once or twice and going quite long in that Place Accumulator.
You know what it feels like, Alistair? It feels like the clubs are clean, the covers are off, we're sitting on the tee box, and you know how excited we get before that first shot, especially if it's one of these long par 5s where you can just open up the shoulders and go for it. That's the way I'm feeling for this card now. And hopefully it goes according to plan.
As long as I can partner up with you in a game of Wolfman, then I'm more comfortable.
Yeah, and I think we're gonna hit many fairways here. The way I see it, we're gonna be hitting many fairways. I think there are gonna be few out of bounds on this card, the way you've analyzed it, and I'm looking forward to this Thursday now. Thursday, the 20th of July. Thank you so much, Alistair.
Thank you, Dees. Enjoy your day to all the punters. Hope that it's a good card, it treats you well, and looking forward to what's to come. We're not too far away from the big one at the end of the month.
Just don't want to put you on the spot, but the Open starts on the Thursday, and we know what Rory did last week. I don't know if you got a fancy for the Open. Can Rory go back-to-back? We know that he's won at Royal Liverpool. That was back in 2014. I don't know if you have a fancy or you like anybody, because the conditions, they are very testing. We know it's different to other parts of the world with regards to weather and wind and link setup. But whilst I was chatting about, just what's happening with the Open, I'm giving you some time to think about it. And do you have a fancy for the Open?
Well, I didn't need to think about it because I've had one bet, someone to finish in the top 6 at 18-1, Corey Connors from Canada. I like his chances. I like the way that he played in the Scottish Open. I think the Scottish Open generally tees players up for the Open Championship. So Corey Connors top 6 is my play. Who do I think is going to win it? I'm defaulting towards McIlroy and Rahm. I know that's pretty unambitious, but for all the golf punters out there, I think Corey Connors represents the value. I think he'll be somewhere in the mix.
Is it Jonas Vingegaard or Tejej Pogacar? Because yesterday's...
After watching that time trial...
No, man, no, Alistair. No, Alistair, I haven't seen anything like that. Over 24 kilometers or whatever it is to smash the field by 1.5 minutes. I mean, that is just insane.
Unreal. Game over. I wanted Pogacar to win it, but after that, there's no catching Vingegaard.
Yeah, I know, just some sport, because you have to, if you're not a Tour de France follower, as we say goodbye to Alistair and thank him for his input, and on behalf of the Gallop TV team and myself, Dees Dana and Alistair Cohen, if you're not a Tour de France follower, if you don't like cycling, just watch it for the fun over the next few days, because this was absolutely awesome to see these two guys go for it. That is Tejej and Jonas, and we'll see what happens come the Champs-Élysées over the weekend, when everything comes to an end in Paris. But on behalf of the entire team, to you, the racing fan, I wish you all the best. I think the way Alistair's went through the card, it looks like a card that you want to get involved in. And all the best, and until we meet again, you take care. Salaniga Ashle.